a better Nigeria? Is it a myth or do we keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria?
Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only drive to be an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Reju.
Hi, my name is Obi, and this is Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified. We're glad to have you all here today. It's 4:30 Friday evening in the lovely city of Jos. Thank you for joining us. Today we have in the studio, as usual, Dr. Reju.
Thank you, Obi.
Giving his wonderful clarifications to awesome questions. All right.
Thank you.
We have Matthew Okwe. And we have BJ, also known as Bobby Joachim. So, BJ, can we hear your question?
All right. Dr. Reju, the younger generation are not left out of these civic responsibilities and all that is happening in the society.
Mm-hmm.
And what narrative do they need to start embracing as young people so that they can be complete civic responsible citizens in the future?
Yeah, in fact, like I said on one of our episodes, that they are my real burden. Because, if we continue with the narrative that brought us here, right, we enter into a deeper pit. And for them, there are some of us, maybe like this program, we need to take up the responsibility to begin to tell another story to these young ones. Because we said it at the time in this country. So we say a lot of things that we don't do anything about. I said it that in 1979, when I did my school cert, OBJ was president. 20 years later. And he told me I was leader of tomorrow, right? 20 years later, he came back as president. I was still leader of tomorrow. By that time, I was already a father. I don't know when that tomorrow will come. So a leadership training which rides on responsibility, not waiting for others to do something, that you should be able to say that the buck stops at my table. This is my responsibility. Should start from where people are young. You see, it starts from family where you have house chores that you don't do, you get punished for it. But you see, society has been structured in a place, like I said before, that the government is doing their own thing, it's there, and then we are here. So that somebody thinks anybody will do what another person should do and nobody gets to do it. So that's where we have our kids now. The kind of narrative they hear in society, they are already echoing it. So there must be a group of people who can come in the gap. And this program, honestly, consciously, we are trying to do that. To come in that mix and begin to tell another story. That just as Mr. Oil has gone, young girl, young boy, pocket money will stop one day. If you don't know how to manage pocket money well, you can't manage your salary well. I remember the question my dad asked me when I told him I wanted to marry. He said, how many pairs of suits do you have? Have you rented your own apartment? I have made that, my own kind of narrative today. The people I mentor, if you don't have your own apartment, if you are still living with friends or parents, you can't marry. You cannot. It's about responsibility. And it's somebody at age 5, 6 should be, we should stop these motivational sessions of dreaming. What are they dreaming about? Let's begin to talk to them in concrete. Let's bring them to reality. Nobody does anything in dream. Right? You don't get anything done in a dream. If it's all about dreaming, they will continue to dream. They won't wake up. They will not wake up. Do we learn how to withdraw stuff from them? Do we begin to teach them, like in my secondary school, the senior prefect is in the executive, management executive of the school. Mm-hmm. He sits in meetings with principal and, So he's from there, he's been mentored into, they ask him his opinion. Those things are gone. We have to bring them back. I was talking about civics. I got to know that it's been reintroduced, but now they now do it to just pass exam. And I was giving you an example, by the time we were off air here, about a school that I went to in the US, a secondary school, where they teach American history. It was a laboratory. It was intentional. We are trying to introduce that into our school, where we're going to teach Nigerian history. we really want people to have a sense of being a Nigerian, to have a Nigerian sense, to be proud of it. But what does that mean, to be proud of it? It's not what the country is going to do for you. What am I going to contribute to see the greatness of that country? So it will solve the problem of somebody, migrating and all. There might not be anything here, but we want to make it work. Look at the days of when the government would do things like, social awareness about Andrew, who was going away. Maybe many of you were still young then. Andrew, I'm checking out, and all those kind of things. Those things worked, but we have totally lost it. Everything has kind of gone out of control, but our focus should be on those kids. They mustn't be talking about government in the other sense. They must see themselves as government, right? They must see themselves as being responsible. They must know exactly what is expected of them, right? Look at how, government schools have disappeared. Private schools thrive. Education is hit the roof. Some people are doomed if things don't change. Yeah. Because most of the private schools, they are not regulated. Nobody checks what they teach the kids. And you see, the problem is huge. And we mustn't look for something that is going to be quick. I'll give you an example. Religious organizations are really very guilty, especially churches. They are very guilty. They tell you it doesn't matter how much bread sells, just believe God. That will give you money to buy it. Even they sell the loaf of bread for 1,000 naira. God will provide. That's a wrong narrative. It's wrong. That's not how God provides. Right? Why should the price of bread go to 1,000? Right? Why? That's a wrong narrative. It's not that believe God. No. Let's check what is the reason. Why are we importing flour? Right? Is the bread imported? Is the rate of naira or dollar affecting the price? Let them be able to think things through. Churches are destroying this country. Maybe one day we'll deal with churches on this program. Churches are destroying the psyche of people. What government should do, what citizens should do, they say we should pray. That's so wrong. You see, I'm sorry I keep making reference to where I've seen things work. I'm sorry. Go to any normal church in the US, you see the American flag. Right? In fact, they might take it to a realm that is even, maybe might be wrong. They love their country more than they love God. But honestly, if you don't love the country you see, don't tell me you love God. I'm telling you. Because you can't see the country. Right?
You can't see God.
You can't see God. Mm-hmm. But at least you feel, you drive on the road, you can feel. So the way we love our country might be a means of training us to love God. You know what I mean? So it's so especially what we hear from schools, from churches, from our motivational and those kind of seminars that everybody have all over the place. We only generate talking points. We must be careful not to raise another generation who are just talking. These guys must be active. Like I said, the first thing a student that graduates from school should do is not to design a CV. What can I do? And it's not going to be when he graduates. You'll be like one of my old colleagues years ago who received his letter of retirement notice, and he went to buy a book, What to Do After Retirement. Right? Somebody that's going to do something after leaving school should have been thinking about that, maybe even from SS3. By the time the guy is finishing university, he's so convinced of it. In fact, he started experimenting with it. So the younger ones, honestly, whosoever is listening to me out there who has access to young ones, you need to be deadly intentional about how you communicate with them. You must take every opportunity to debrief, right? That government is your servant. Obama's Air Force One flew low in New York. He had to issue a public apology. Because, he was disturbing his bosses. Yeah. They pay his salary. Right? Look at the way we have been deceived here, to a corner where we don't even know how to ask questions. The salary of legislators is just a talking point. Nobody has taken any action. Nobody. If I Google it today, what is the salary of the US president? It comes out. I'm not even a US citizen. We just generate talking points. Those kids must not. If they ask you questions, don't wave it away. Because kids ask questions because they want to know. Let's steward that. Let's steward that so that they continue to ask questions. The laws are there. Freedom of Information Bill. Who has made a demand on it? But because, again, you are not sure what's happening in court. Right?
And again, the issue of having civics as a class, as important as it is, but limiting it to a few minutes, say 40 minutes in a particular class, doesn't do the importance of it justice. It's an idea that should traverse, almost all classes.
Absolutely.
So when someone is teaching chemistry, how can you bring civics into it?
You are
when
so
you're teaching
right.
geography,
You are so
how
right.
can you bring civics into it?
You are so
when you're
right.
teaching English, how can you bring civics into it? So that it becomes sort of something that the students hear over and over
because
and
you are
over and
teaching
over
physics,
again, yes.
you are able to direct that to the gap that has affected, that has come up in our society because physicists are not doing what they're supposed to do to promote technology or to promote, you must be able to bring that in. How they can use whatever they are teaching, to promote the social, economic, political development of their country. Somebody read political science in those days. You are reading political science. Do you want to be a politician? It's a valid question.
Yeah.
But now we need to have a proper definition of who a politician is. A politician is not somebody who is seeking elective post. Right? Yeah. That's not just it. It's somebody who, maybe you want to go into community service, you want to go do all those kind of things. So it's, for me, my heart goes out to those guys. Matt, do you want to say something?
You see, I'm looking at states, that are, the chief employer of labor is government. And I'm beginning to wonder if that also has contributed to why we don't want to be responsible as citizens, considering the fact that an adage goes this way: you don't buy the hands that feed you. So how do you want to fight yourself, right? And I think, because you look at a state like ours here, Plateau State, and then you realize that, I can say maybe 80-90% of the employer of labor in Plateau State is, the government.
They are civil servants.
Yeah, so how do you now want to stand and fight a system you're already?
Now that's another narrative that we need to correct. My employer is not feeding me. I'm actually feeding it. Right? It's not feeding me. A laborer is worthy of his wages. Right? I'm providing service. So who is feeding who? Right? It's a narrative. Right? I'm a civil servant. I'm serving. Who is feeding who? I'm the one giving service. And they pay me for my services. So, you see, narratives are powerful. The stories we tell, the statements we make in society goes a long way to shape us. That's why I believe that community, guy who said, you don't change a society by violence. You don't change a society you change a society by telling another story. And that's what this program is all about. We want to tell another story. Let's give you another possibility, another alternative. And it goes right into, you see, there must be families today who will give birth to a child and they are saying that we want to develop this child so that we can deploy this child to be a benefit to us. We only pray it. We only wish it. There is nothing intentional about it. Those things have to change. Young ones that are just getting married. Why are you getting married?
I was once given information about how rabbis are trained.
That's in Israel.
In Israel, that the baby is taken from the breast. The babies are taken from maybe 3.
Yeah.
And taken away from their parents. Oh, sorry, not taken away from their parents, but they begin to train them from a young age for
Once they are weaned.
one purpose.
Once they are weaned.
Yeah. And from
right?
teenage,
they are put under another rabbi.
Exactly. And at teenage, they now leave the parents altogether. Up until when they're 30, they train for just one purpose. Very intentional, very, very, very heavy training and all that. So by the time the guy comes out, very knowledgeable, very exposed, very good at what he does.
Look at the history of this country. Most of our presidents, most of our governors never planned to be governors. They never planned to be presidents. It's just accidental, right? It's just accidental or out of maybe just pure ambition. They don't really have any kind of clear-cut, long-term plan to come in there. The current American election that's going on, they dug up a video of Cruz as a 14-year-old. They asked him, what do you want to do? He said, I want to take over the world at 14. So if the guy is now about 30-something, 40-something, and is now vying for America, it's not a dream of yesterday. Look at many of them. They have gone on that route many times, giving it a shot many times. And where somebody is just being moved by vaulting ambition or service. The moment they begin to see that this thing is not going, they withdraw. They withdraw. It's not, they don't want me. So I don't have to push myself on them. I don't want to force myself. So it's a, look at, in a secondary school, what do we tell a senior prefect? Is it the boss or the servant? A senior prefect is the servant. But I had a tragic story here in this city some months ago, that you can't even be senior prefect in some schools if you are not an indigene. Now that's a tragedy. Because we kill, that was the time we discussed federal character on this program. We kill expertise, merit, excellence. We slaughter it on the altar of man no man. We need to tell another story. That's why we do these things in very humble ways in our school. I'm not trying to promote our school here, but it's a good place to be, But the fact is, when you fill our forms, we don't put state of origin. We don't put tribe. Yeah. We don't want to know. Because we want Femi and Chukuma to be able to relate as if they're just human beings, because that's who they are. We don't ask your religion. Right? I remember my kids were going to go to a school here and they asked me, are you Protestant or Catholic? I said, none. And they didn't take them. And I'm happy that my kids didn't go to that kind of place. Right? Young people don't know that. Let me tell you a funny story. It might sound a bit, There's a friend of mine, an American, who adopted a black boy, right? It was the son that brought the boy home because they were namesakes, Brian, and they were very young. And Brian came home, brought Brian, they discovered that Brian was homeless, he was an orphan, and they adopted, Brian. So they have Brian white and Brian black. These guys were young. And they went to the toilet and they pooed. And the Brian white came to tell the father, Dad, Brown's poo and my poo are the same. I'm sorry if that sounds a bit, but you see, that's a huge truth. Because in this country, we don't love ourselves. Where did it start from? Young people, don't move with that Igbo boy. Don't move with the Yoruba boy. Don't move with the Hausa boy. Those are narratives that kill us. Economic realities don't respect where you come from. And we must not, no teacher must speak that kind of language in the class. They must go back home to train their parents. So that's the only way we can move this country forward. Right?
All right, guys, as we want to move forward, let's just take a break. Let's, pause, take a break and listen to our sponsors. We'll be back shortly.
There are cooking oils and there are cooking oils, Of course. There are those that foam like soap when you put them on fire. And there are those that go to sleep after a few days. There are even those with funny odors that make neighbors wonder what's happening in your kitchen.
I beg, don't kill me, oh.
But then again, there is Grand Pure Soya Oil, made from pure soya seed. Grand Pure Soya Oil is cholesterol-free, which makes it ideal for the heart and health conscious. It neither foams nor fumes, neither does it congeal even at low temperature. Grand Pure Soya Oil is also endorsed by the Nigerian Heart Foundation as heart-friendly oil.
Let me go and get my own Grand Pure Soya Oil, Joe. Oil that doesn't smell or sleep.
Grand Pure Soya Oil, a heart-friendly oil you've always known.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this has been Answers with Dr. Reju. Interact with us on 081 44 56 9000. Let's make it a WhatsApp message on 081 44 56 9000. Before we went on the break, we were talking about kids. And Bobby, please go.
For the young ones coming up, what can we say to parents and parents to be and those who have even finished training their children? Probably they're taking care of their grandchildren right now, and teachers that are in educational settings that are teaching civic responsibility, teaching chemistry. What can we say that they have as intentional action steps that they need to start doing right now to reorientate the coming generation?
You know, you use the word intention, but I want to shy away from action steps. It's not going to be a step-by-step kind of thing. It's intentional relationship, having a goal set, right? It's being able to relate with these kids, right? Because proximity is a prerequisite if you're going to impact somebody. If you're going to impact, you can't affect, as I'm sitting there, I can't affect America. I can't affect UK because I'm here, right? But maybe technology has made that happen to sort of shrink the world. But the parents, if you know what's happening in our world today, in our society today, in Nigeria today, parents are so disconnected from their kids, right? They take them to school so that they can be free. You know, some of them don't even want to do school runs. They don't know what, for example, school runs does to a child. I've raised children and I know, right? At the time my kids were coming home by school bus, my younger daughter was wishing that daddy would come and pick me in school. I know what happens when I come to pick my little one from school. She's super excited. It's different from a day an uncle picks, and it's different. She's super excited that daddy has come. And that's is a gelling opportunity. It's a bonding opportunity, and then what do we model? I listened to America's president, yesterday was talking about the way they're pricing their politics now. He said, we're abusing ourselves. What are we teaching our children? Right? When you're calling somebody nasty, when you're calling somebody, what are we teaching our children? He said, if we lie, our children will think that lying is good. If we abuse people, they will. So we need to be intentional. And then we need to model. We need parents today. You see, there must be parent teachers is only an association today, or some call it Congress, right? Let it become a partnership. Let it become a partnership. How on earth will a parent miss a visiting time? You have already affected that child's psyche, right? You've already affected it. How can you? Because other parents are there, and then he's looking, he's giraffing to see whether you're at the gate or there's something that child has lost. I'm not loved. I'm not appreciated. So that person will be a defective leader if he won't even see, he won't feel that he can do anything meaningful because it's not been affirmed by the parents. And so if that parent is a lover of the country, if that parent is detribalized, if that parent always speak about, again, I'll talk about this, my friends. My friends they're Caucasians, but they say that from little child, their parent, number one, their father was a fan of Martin Luther. He will always tell them that people are not different. There's none of them today, they don't have blacks that they adopted. All of them. In fact, their grandson adopted 2 Ethiopians. Yeah, their grandson adopted 2 Ethiopian girls. So they weren't just like that. Somebody trained them. Somebody gave them that orientation. Now, what deliberate, intentional orientation are we giving our kids? Right? What informed the school we take them to? Is it status? Is it money? Is it proximity? It must be inspired, determined by who do you really want this child to be? Do you know the vision of that school? Do you know what they are communicating to those kids there? Is it just natural, straight line education? When they just come, it's 8 to 2 and that's all. There is no extracurricular. There is no, so because education has changed. We know the statistics out there. Everybody knows. They said now that a Nigerian graduate can't work in a global company. It needs to be retrained. But I met a Nigerian girl who works in Boeing. Amazing young girl. Amazing young girl. And she was not born in America. She still visits home. Right? Yeah. Her name is Chichi. She still visits home. She's very brilliant. She works under, a friend of mine there. And he talks about her all the time. So it's not whether we're Nigeria. There's no human being that's empty. It's how we groom, how we steward what God has put there. So those who have access, really teachers, because a lot of parents can no longer really be orientated this way. I'm sorry to say that, older ones. But how about young parents who are even, like, if you look at the age gap between me and my dad, we're not in the same generation. I can relate with my kids. There are many young parents out there who can still speak the language. They still send WhatsApp message to their kids. They are Facebook friends, right, with their kids, right? That's a huge opportunity, right? Because if you look at some old laws of where you marry, who you marry, those kind of things are to promote, not just to preserve a bloodline, is to be able to create a group of people who can be so potent to add value to society. That's why royal families don't marry out of the family. But those laws are no longer sacrosanct. But they check you, can you fit into this? Can you still be a force to be reckoned with in society who can add value? So education is key. And like he said, that time, that whatever we teach, we need to fuse this patriotic tendencies into it. This is the country we have. The problem here, simple. We don't love this country. Why? We have not been trained, orientated to love it. People just want to plunder it. It's there let's milk it. Nobody wants to contribute. We said on the program, we have only one oven. And that oven is now, is now gone. So we have to create new ovens. So these kids must be taught entrepreneurial skill. They must communication. Those kids don't know. When we were in school, we need to do literary and debating. Those kind of things, they're gone. They're gone. And if you don't do it intentionally, my young girl will tell me, waiting for lesson is boring. Every opportunity you have, no, it's profitable. It helps you. It gives you better understanding. Rather than saying, why are you saying it's boring? Why? No. Explain. Is it not boring? It's boring. That's the way she sees it. Now reorientate. Having finished, and sometimes the lesson can really be boring.
Let's create our own country.
It can be boring.
Let's create our own country where we are in the driving seat. And that's the final message to everyone here as we close this episode of Answers with Dr. Reju. Have you guys enjoyed what we've had here today? Absolutely. So Matthew, thank you for coming around. Bobby, thank you for coming around. And Dr. Reju, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And Gideon in the back room. Thanks, Gideon. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you again by 4:30 next Friday.
Give us a call or chat us on WhatsApp on 081 4456 9000. Check out our website and interact with us on www.answerswithdrreju.com. Like our Facebook page, Answers with Dr. Reju, or send us an email at answerswithdrreju@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are @DrRejuAnswers. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Answers with Dr. Reju, where you can get all our episodes. Join us again on Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified.